So the next module, creating and deploying applications. So last module we discussed about packages, how we'll create packages, how we'll distribute, and how we'll going to deploy programs to the clients. So in this module we'll discuss about your creating and deploying applications. So overview of the application model. So the configuration manager application model is user centric. When deploying an application to a user, the application installed locally on a computer with an affinity relationship. That means where the user, so each user will be having one affinity relationship where he is logging maximum times. That will be his primary device. Getting? So these are my computers where I logged in. Getting? So in one computer locally it will be installed. When the user logs on to another computer, that application will be installed as a virtual application and follows the user. Just observe here. So the application is installed locally on a computer with an affinity relationship. So that application is only for this user. Now when the user logs into another computer, same application will come as a virtual application. Again it will not install in that machine. It will come as a virtual application. So when the user logs off, the virtual application is not retained. If any other user comes and try to log in, that application will not be available. User based. That is what we say application model is a user centric. So application management features like requirements built by adding operators and values to global conditions are evaluated on scheduled and on demand to determine if the associated deployment type is applicable to a targeted client. Then global condition will define the condition to examine or use to create requirements. Then deployment action and purpose defines what you want to do, install or uninstall. As I told you, in package we don't have install or uninstall. Only install feature is there, uninstall feature is not there. So then defines how you want to do it, optional or mandatory. Then user device affinity allows the association of user with a specific device or a multiple devices. I may give affinity for my user, that suppose Rafi is a user, PC1 PC2 as a affinity relationship. That means these two machines he will be using. Getting? So where he'll log in maximum times in any one machines, locally the application will be installed when you deploy for user collection. No, no, it is only for him, user based. So this is the difference between your applications and packages. Basic software information included as part of the application, included as part of the package. Extended software included as part of the application. Here no additional support information is there in the package. So deploy software command options, deployment types, here we called it as here programs. So multiple deployment options. Single application can contain multiple deployment types, but a package contain multiple programs. So here deployment by application, here deployment by package, and either we can deploy package or program. Here it's a application. So deployment type used based on requirements. Here only one program per deployment, one program per deployment. But here we can use the requirement dependencies, all we can add in the applications. Clear? Revision history maintained here. It has not maintained any revision history. Clear? So this is the sum of the differences between your application and packages. Now managing application by using server roles. What are the roles we used for managing our application? Like management point is required. Must, right? So which all roles are required, which are roles are optional? Management point is must, because clients download policy and content location information and upload state messages. So distribution point, because to download the content. So application catalog, website point and web service point, it is optional. If you want to build your application catalog for your company, that time we required. Otherwise it doesn't required. Even reporting service point, if you want to view the reports, okay, then you required, otherwise not required. But mandatory is your DP and MP. Clear? So what is software center? So software center is the user's default interface for managing software deployments. On the available software tab, you can install softwares that was either deployed as required and the deadline has not passed, or available to the computer. So what are applications have been deployed, getting, so that you can able to view in the software center. From there you can install, or you can see here one application, you can see it is scheduled to install after so and so time. One more application, it is available, it has crossed the time, it will show available, so you can install or uninstall. Clear? So next, on the installation status tab, you can monitor the software that is being deployed, or you can install the software that was deployed as required and deadline has not been reached. If the deadline has not been reached, you can manually install it if it is available. Okay, and even in the installed software, you can able to view which all softwares has been published, means installed. So if there is an uninstall command, you can manually uninstall. So software, that is in the software center options, where you can specify the working hours, what working hours you are working, like morning 6 to 5, whatever time, okay, or morning 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, you can specify business hours. You can specify from server on collection maintenance, or even if you want, you can configure here manually. Okay, so next is your application catalog. As I have already told you, application catalog is to build an like app store, getting. So it uses two roles, one is application catalog website point, and one more is application catalog web service point. So website point, what it does, user cannot users connect to this role, whereas your web service point, okay, supports the website. So when you install these two roles, automatically it will configure your website, you no need to configure, getting. One is to connect to the one role, that is application catalog website point, users connects to this role, whereas application catalog web service point, that will design the website of your application catalog. Clear? So you require install the roles on web server with a certificate to provide HTTPS support, customize the application catalog website point with organization and theme color. You can specify the theme color whichever you want for the website. See, these are the two roles. Okay, one, what it does, it the users will connect to the role in the console, users can connect, where you all your applications are listed, getting, like what all applications you have made it for available, that will be listed in the web browser for the users. Generally users will connect, that time this role will be used. Web service point supports the website, your designing of the website of your application catalog, so that will be supported by this role, application catalog website point. Clear? See, if you see here, When I go for the roles, you can able to see what your application catalog web service point provide software information to the application catalog website from the software library, whereas your application catalog website point, so the an application catalog website point provides users with a list of available users are connecting, no, what are is listed, whereas web service point will design your website and it will collect all the, yeah, what all applications are there in your software library you have deployed, that all will be taken from your this role will help for collecting available. Clear? So this is about your application catalog. Clear? So you can go here in the software center, click on find additional application from application catalog, you can able to view. This is your console, this is how it looks, your application catalog. Clear? See here, so when intranet means local, so directly they'll go to that website. Okay, so if they specify the address, directly they'll contact to the application catalog website point, so that is going to use your application catalog web service point, because web service point consists of all your library, what all applications available will be displayed, from where it is getting that information from your site server. Whereas if it is internet, so only thing changes, communication mode will be HTTPS only. For intranet either you can use HTTP or HTTPS, but when it comes to internet it will uses only HTTPS. You required certificate authority server has to be configured, public key infrastructure, must and should you should use HTTPS. Yes, if it is through intranet, HTTP or HTTPS. So in the software, if you don't know the address of my complete website, so generally it will be your FQDN, like if your com2.india.com slash application catalog, that CM application catalog, that name will be there, website link. If you don't know that link, even you can visit your software center and click on find additional application from the application catalog. See, this is your, you should remember otherwise like this, http colon your fqdn slash cm application catalog. This is how your catalog looks. If you click on application catalog, here it will show you the list of applications which you have made it available. Available applications only. If any application is required, will not be displayed here. Required means according to schedule it will be installed, which you have made it available only, that will be displayed in the catalog. Getting? Okay, if I have 5 applications, suppose consider word viewer, VLC player, Adobe Flash player, Adobe reader, okay, or PowerPoint viewer, these all 5 applications have made it available. So few users they required VLC player, let them visit, who requires download. Or for some of the application I'll make it request. For VLC player I'll select they should take the approval from the administrator, so they won't be getting install option, instead of that they'll get request. You need to send a request to the administrator. If he approves, then you will get install option. Getting? If he deny, then you cannot able to install. Getting? So you can see here my application requests tab. Clear? Here it will show all your requests. And if you go for my devices, you can specify which computer you will be using regularly, like primary device. It will show here. Then, so that is your application catalog. So, so same way client settings for application catalog you can configure. Okay. So application manage, if you have anything like cloud services also, you are configured any Azure based DPs are there that you can configure in your client settings, cloud service. Same way it is just explaining your all the client settings what we did before. Client policy settings, how often the policy has to be installed. Then computer agent, here you need to configure your application catalog. Getting? And you will specify your website whether it is for intranet or internet, you will specify here. Getting? So then if any application requires a restart, if any application requires restart, how much time you will give, how often it should show dialog box. You have seen some computer when it is last 15 minutes countdown. Getting? So that all way you can show here. See, display a dialog box that user cannot close, which displays the countdown interval before the user is log off or the computer restart. Last 15 minutes you want to show. You cannot close. In the your top of the taskbar in the corner it will show 14 minutes 59 seconds, like that it will be going. That you can set how many minutes. Clear? So then software deployment schedule, we have already discussed about this, and here you will get your device affinity settings. Allow users to define their primary devices, which is their primary device. Clear? Now you got creating application. Creating application, single application. We have a wizard. When you use the create application wizard to create new application from file, only limited amount of information is retrieved. You can add some additional information in your create application wizard, like your all the publisher, software version, okay, administrative category, where whether it is a application or it is a viewer, it is a what type of software it is. You can make a administrative category also here. Done. So you will get here date publish, like additional general information, all that. So in the application catalog it will show here. Same way deployment type. Okay, what type of deployment type you are using, MSI. See, we have different types of deployment types. A deployment type contains information about the files, commands and programs used to install software by using particular method or command. If it is Microsoft, MSI. If it is Android, APK. Getting? If it is iOS.IPA. Getting? So if it is for Windows Phone, .xap file. So like this, these are the different deployment type, what type of file you are planning to install. So then content, when you distribute, in which DP it is stored, where it is stored. Clear? So these are the different types, like detection method. In the lab we'll discuss about all these tabs. You can set the requirements, okay, dependencies also you can add. All this we'll discuss practically. Clear? What is detection method? Detection method, a procedure that enables the deployment process to determine whether an application is present on a system. As I told you before, SCCM will not deploy it again. If already that application is running, it will not overwrite. Getting? So, yeah. So if it's already installed, it will not install. See, in this you can see So it will check first before deploying, perform evaluation before content is requested, can examine the registry file system and Windows installer database or use a custom script, are evaluated when an application is deployed and periodically thereafter to detect missing some machines are there. No, see here, out in this example, so one machine is already having, two machines are not there. So according to schedule, yeah, clear. So dependencies means what? So I want to install some application that requires some additional prerequisites. Getting? So like dependencies are defined on a deployment type. Dependencies allows you to ensure that application requirements can be enforced or remediated. Dependencies define the applications deployment types that must be installed before the deployed deployment type can be installed. Suppose you have seen when we install SCCM client, it requires .NET, it requires Silverlight, it requires all Visual C++. So these all are the requirements, prerequisites. So did we install manually? Automatically it hasn't. Same way you can set dependencies. Now you are deploying some application that requires .NET, that requires Silverlight. So in the dependencies tab you can add. Otherwise you are directly running, trying to deploy that application, but you are seeing that in the client doesn't have the .NET or some other additional applications. Sometime, huh. No, dependencies in the sense, suppose consider here, you just see this diagram. Now I want to deploy some application that requires some prerequisites, some other supportable applications. Like you are now to install your client push, what all was the prerequisite? .NET framework, Silverlight and all. Without that, can SCCM client will be installed? No. Same way, if you want to install some application, there are some dependencies. Getting? So that you are setting manual. Now you are deploying. No, that is a ready-made application or package that we are running. Now you are deploying some application. For that you have some dependencies. So that you are setting here. So that now I'll deploy a single application, but automatically it will install .NET. Yeah, if you said before, like we did before in the package PowerPoint we deployed, we set as Visual has to be installed first. That is a requirement we set. Same way, imagine there is a prerequisite. I am installing some application that is having a prerequisite that .NET has to be installed. Okay, or some other application has to be installed. In that case, we can set the dependencies. Like there again error will come. Yeah. Then that application will not install. Yeah. That's the reason we'll set the dependencies. So that it will, you have seen the detection method. If it is already there, it won't apply. If it is not there, then yeah, it will be there. It's some missions. No, example I'm giving .NET. If some other applications required, yes, clear. So global conditions like query based, all that you can specify. This I'll show you in your this thing lab. Like requirements, you can specify that they should meet particular requirement to deploy. Like we have seen Windows 7, Windows 8 only it has to install, that you can set. Clear? You can deploy application to users or devices. If you deploy an application to users, the application Shortcuts are only created for the targeted users regardless of who logs on to the system. So if any other user logs in, no application. You can see the difference, right? Okay. If you deploy an application to users, the application shortcuts are only created for the targeted user regardless of who logs on to the system. You can see you have deployed an application to a user. If any other user comes, that application is not available. If you deploy the application to a system, the application is installed for all the users to the system. You can see I have deployed an application, so it is available for that user. If some other users also logs in, that application will be available. Some cases you'll do user basis. It is a option. I should tell, you should know, right? So how user device affinity affects deployment. So user device affinity allows a user to be associated with a device. Users can have an affinity with multiple devices. Users device affinity can be requirement in an application so that applications are installed automatically on user's system if the system meets any other requirement. When a user accesses a device without an affinity relationship, applications could be configured not to install. It will come as a what? Virtualized application. So in this example, imagine we have selected these two as a affinity relationship. That means what? That application is installed on the two computers. If the user is trying to log in different computer, and that time the application will not be installed there, it will just come as a virtual application. See here, application could use a different deployment type such as deploying as a virtualized application. Clear? So overview of deploying applications. The process of deploying an application is as follows. Administrator creates a new application and distribute the content to the DP. So after that, an administrator creates a deployment for the application. Then the client system checks for policy updates from management point. Management point will get the policy and it will give to the client. Have you seen? See there. So management point contact site server, then update the policy to the clients. Once the policy is installed, client will contact management point. Where is the content? Management point will say this is the DP server you are associated with. Contact him, he will give you the content. So the client system downloads the content from the distribution point and installs the application. Clear? This is your wizard. Then you can monitor application deployment. Same what we discussed. Package. You can see the state messages, whether it is installed. You can summarize and you can see. So this is simulated deployment. Allows you. So what is this simulated deployment means? A simulated deployment allows you to test evaluation of requirements in the application deployment types without having to distribute files. Whether we are just checking whether the application is trying to deploy successfully or not. Before deploying the content, it is just giving you the result saying that whether it will deploy successfully or not, whether it is meeting all the criteria. Clear? So this is a type of deployment. So the result of the simulation are found in the monitoring workspace under deployments node with other deployments. The status shows you the deployment type that would have been attempted and the number of systems that would have attempted to use each deployment type. So even it will show that status also shows which system did not meet the requirements such as detection rule and dependencies. So generally it's like for test evaluation. We are evaluating whether that application can be deployed to all my PCs. So that is nothing but simulated deployment. First it checks before downloading the content. Okay, so this just to identify in which systems it supports or not, we can use this simulated deployment. Clear? So these are the log files which you have to remember. Clear? So server logs, client logs. Last week I have already shared you the file. No, no. Chapter wise all logs. I have shared already the PDF. Clear? So this is the lab we'll be doing. Clear?